Whoop, hey guys, it's Warm Connell 007 here, and in this video I'm going to take you through all the awakenings that are currently in the game. I'll show you the back sprites, front sprites, any type changes, and also any of the ability changes. If you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel and hit the like. That said, we get straight into the first one, which is Nanto. So as you can see guys, Nanto is an insect and basic type, which is pretty cool. We're going to look at it. It was herbivore in this example, and then we'll go and we'll awaken. Pop, expecting the other one to awaken, which in this case it doesn't. Always the way, just disrupting the plan, disrupting the plan. But what that means is I can go and check. As you can see, the typing's changed and the abilities change. We're now insect air, and if that your meowgicity, basic type moves become air types, and they actually do 30% more damage, which is pretty cool. So we've got the type change, and we also have the stat change as well. And as you can see, there's the new sprite in front of you, well, about to come in front of you here now in 2 seconds, of actually how the awakening looks. Pretty cool. Must say so myself. So guys, that's the first one to get through. Onto the second one, which is now Hypnotal. Now Hypnotal's a wee bit different. It doesn't have a runestone, it's got an artificial runestone. It is a mind and plant type, and as you can see, it's got mind control there at the moment. In this case, now when we awaken, as you will see, it's now going to change its ability, and that's the back sprite. And here's the front sprite, guys, as well, which is pretty cool to check it out. So as you can see, it uses leaf sap onto me, and there's obviously the new sprite as well. So as you can see, we now have the trait Puffball. Type and stays the same, which means that you do 75% less damage from air, and also can inflict rage, which is pretty cool. Lumiline now has an awakening, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool doodle, by the way. It's a light crystal type. The typing does stay the same. The ability does change. So if we bring you through this, and as you can see, I'm just going to hit glow up here. The ability in this one is pretty cool. I forget the exact name of it, but we'll see it in 2 seconds. As you can see, the actual doodle itself changes rapidly, which looks pretty cool. I love the tail. Love it. I love the design on this. Really cool. So going into it, I'm now going to show you exactly how the ability is changed. Now it's crystallization. So when this doodle causes another doodle to faint, it summons a crystal wall for their side. And again, the typing remains the same as well. So the next awakening is Bionotic. As you can see, if we go in, it is water and mind type. We also do see, again, the ability change with this one. So check this out. We're going to go first. So here's the back sprite. Oh, sorry, the front sprite. Look at this thing. This thing looks cool. I really like this one. I love the way they've kind of made it like kind of space vibey, but kind of like Dr. Octopus at the same time, or like Spider-Man. It gets an ability called Mind Games, which basically steals your opponent's ability, which is pretty cool, to be honest with you. The typing does remain the same if memory serves. Let me just double check for you. If we go into here, click on it, yeah, Mind Game. So it steals the opponent's trait. So there you go, the ability trait, and the typing remains the same, which is pretty awesome, to be fair. On to the next one. So I think this is number 5. This is Sumouse. Sumouse is pretty awesome. As you can see, it's just a pure melee type. When we go into it, it doesn't show any kind of type change. In terms of the trait's pretty good, to the point that it's kind of borderline silly. I actually had to use my weakest move on this just to make sure we stayed alive, which is pretty awesome. There's the back sprite, and here's the front sprite for it. As you can see, it moves into like a boxing mouse, which is pretty cool. With the ability hits twice with a punch move, but it's 30% less, just to kind of make sure it's a bit more balanced. What's the name? Jab Cross, that's the name of it, which is pretty cool. And again, it remains as a melee typing. Onto, I think this is number 6, which is Vigilante. Vigilante is a cool doodle in itself. Water melee, as you can see. This is obviously my misprint hidden trait one. And I will have tinted awakenings and things like that in this here as well, guys. As you can see, boom, into a superhero. Check that out. Wow, check those muscles. I think it's a pretty well designed. Goes with kind of Vigilante's kind of flair, to say the least. It kind of like, it reminds me of kind of like a Mexican wrestler, if you know what I mean. But then kind of crossed with like a superhero at the same time. Vigilante is pretty broken because like one of the abilities does like a plus attack, and then you have ferocity here, which means that if you knock it out, you their attack increases again. Again, the typing of it remains the same, so it can be pretty powerful. On to the next one, which is Bubble. Bubble's pretty cool in itself. Normally, it does keep the same typing, so it's water and ground type, as you'll see. We go straight into here. Now,
the awakened bubble is got a trait where basically it has like what it would call ice absorb. It's not the exact name of it, but if somebody hits you with ice, you absorb 25% of the hit. Just to give you damage, I'll give you the exact name. It's melting point. That's the name of it. Again, the type remains the same. On to the next one, which is Grotto. Grotto, when it first came out, was kind of broken. It's a basic type, and its type does change. Its type actually changes into a basic water type with the ability, as you'll see here in 2 seconds. There's obviously a front sprite, and then as you can see, obviously the water and things like that round it with a tongue. And now I'll show you the back sprite here as well. And the ability now changes, as you will see. If I remember to awaken, that always does help. Whenever you do these guys, you need to make sure that you do awaken. It's pretty important. But yes, just to go straight into it, you'll see, as you can see here, extinguisher. So all party members are cured of burn when this doodle sent out, which is pretty awesome.
Okay guys, we're on the Hatrix now. Hatrix is one of the first awakenings to actually come out. It's a Dark Mind type naturally, which is pretty cool. It does keep the same typing whenever it does awaken, and this awakening looks pretty awesome if I do say so myself. So I'm just going to hit the stone, just going to hit heal. As you can see, they go first, so obviously they're a bit quicker. Look at this thing, it looks insane. It is literally like the perfect Halloween themed doodle, let's be honest with you. It looks pretty top notch. If we look at it through what we're doing here at the moment, we also see it gets a new trait as well, which is called Spellcaster. And what Spellcaster does is it means that it takes 50% less damage from magical attacks, which is pretty awesome to be honest with you. We then have Somber Rock here, which is a food and dark type. Before it awakens, it does actually change, and it does get a new ability. New ability is called Luminosity, so you'll see it actually on the right hand side here whenever this does awaken. So as you can see, boom, look at it now. You can actually see it going white, obviously to coincide with the kind of the light typing that's going to be there, but also Luminosity that kicks in. Luminosity allows your allies to do 50% more damage with light type moves, which is pretty awesome if I do say so myself. But as you'll see here when we go through it, whenever the Somber Rocks move, the thing with Somber Rock is it's kind of slept on. Not many people actually use it, but it can be really scary in certain teams. And as you can see now, it becomes food and crystal typing. So as you can see, but then it has the Luminosity. Pretty confusing to say the least. You then have Talena A, which is pretty awesome. We also see a type change here. It's obviously plant. It actually becomes a plant and poison type. Its ability is pretty amazing, to say the least. What it actually allows it to do is physical attacks now become poison. So partnered up with Thorny Thwack, it then becomes a really strong poison type move, to be honest with you. Not if you put shift and wins on this thing can be an absolute monster threat, but it looks awesome, to be honest with you. As you can see, mine is tinted here, which is pretty cool. But as you can see, new typing and toxicity, there you go, adds 30% more damage whenever you use physical moves as well, so it actually gets that boost on top of it. Morval is the next doodle, which has an awakening. It does keep the same typing, which is dark and plant, but it actually has a new change in trait. With the trait change, it actually turns into what's called the fungus. What the fungus does is what you do in terms of damage, it actually restores 1/4 of health back to it. So if you look at its move pool, it has the likes of Soul Siphon and Life Sap, which are both kind of absorbing moves, which means that you're actually restoring more, but also with the stat change and things like that, it also means it applies quite a bit more. In terms of design, I think it actually suits it pretty well, especially with kind of, you know, a few simps in the community to say at least. The next doodle here I'm going to take you through the awakenings actually is quite unique, which is Stalagant. It actually has 2 different awakenings. You know, one is for the male and one is actually for female as well. So in this example, this is the male one. So as you can see, this thing looks cool. I think this looks really cool, to say the least. And you can obviously tell the difference between the colours. So obviously the male is kind of like the orange colour, and then on the female it goes to red, if I remember. But I'll take it through the red one next. So it has a trait called mental depletion. And what happens is it obviously, after doing damage, it mind type moves, one used from every move of the target. So it's kind of like pressure in Pokemon. So it actually like removes PP kind of. In this example here, I've got the female. Obviously I've got the skin on it here. The typing generally does stay the same here, to be honest with you. And this here thing, as you say, it looks pretty cool, but you'll see the difference here with the female. It's the red now comes in instead of that yellowy orange that it had on the crystals before. So if I bring this through, and the last one was mind depletion, if I remember, which was kind of like pressure in Pokemon. With this trait, it is slightly different. Mental momentum, so after doing damage and attack, the Doodle's mind type attacks get stronger. So you can kind of just stack up on it, which is pretty cool. Which for me, to be honest with you, the female looks probably a bit better. Cerebral has a pretty cool one. It just kind of builds on to do its defensive typing, as it keeps its normal mind and poison type here. And the trait it actually sparked up quite a bit of debate whenever this trait actually came out, believe it or not. But you know, the trait's pretty cool in terms of what it does, and it kind of embeds with kind of the defensiveness of the actual Doodle. So whenever I take it through, it's refresh resilience, if I remember, is the exact name. Let me just check here. Yeah, refresh resilience. So basically, this Doodle takes 25% less damage, but also gets 50% back of health and swapping it out. So it's really, really good. Party Bug, one of the first Doodles getting awakening. It's actually got a really unique awakening because it can't really be removed, which is pretty powerful. As you can see, obviously I'm using my tinted one. It's not normally red, guys. There's no type change on Party Bug, it remains the same, but it has the ability called Archmage, as you've seen there, and basically what it does is it increases your resilience against magical attacks, and I'll just take you through that now. And there's obviously the dog. Archmage, you have 10% less across all your allies as well, which is that said. On the next one, which is Archipos. This is a pretty cool awakening. We do see a type change in this, moving from Spirit to Spirit Metal, but what it does is it has an absolute amazing trait. So it moves from Levitate in this example onto, I forget the exact name for it, but basically it's like Technician in Pokemon. So if your moves have like below a certain level, it will go basically a lot higher. As you can see, I had to kind of kill the other Archipos and then have another second Doodle just to show it's that strong. It's called Delicate, so basically if your move have weak attacks, so if it's less than like 50 or 60%, I think it's 50, basically it increases its power. On the next one, which is Toughleys, which its typing remains its same. Its trait moves to what's called an Annihilate, which is pretty awesome, to be honest with you. But this for me is one of actually the best looking awakenings that there currently is. I do like Archipulse, by the way, didn't even mention on it, but this one looks absolutely insane with the design. Really like it. Toughly is pretty cool looking Doodle, to be honest with you, generally. But if we take it through Annihilate, as you'll see when we go through, read the exact description. Basically when this Doodle attacks, the target's trait isn't activated, so their ability just basically stops, which is a pretty clever trait to have, especially against certain Doodles, for instance. On the next one, which we have, is Mothra, one of the original awakenings, probably one of my favourite designs as well, to be honest with you. It's a trait actually had to get changed. It actually did initially have Levitate, where basically it avoided Earth type moves. It actually got changed to what's called Unbreakable, which means that super effective moves actually hit it for less. It actually can be a defensive powerhouse, and with its move pool, it is pretty awesome. But as you can see, I'll just take you through it in terms of the trait and just show you exactly what it says. Breakable, 25% less damage from super effective hits. So again, really cool. That's it. We're running through these. We've got a few more to go through. The next Doodle is an awakening, came out at the very start, which is Cryoterra. We do see a typing change in this one. It is initially air and ice. It actually swaps to dark and ice. This thing is, I think, the fastest Doodle out of all the awakenings, if memory serves. It's pretty cool in terms of stats and things like that, but it also looks pretty epic, as you're about to see. Bam! Looks pretty awesome. With the ability, we do see a trait change, as I'm about to show you, which it actually switches to what's called bypass, so it goes past all kind of shields basically, which is pretty epic, and a lot of people kind of sleep on this. This could be a really good like late game sweeper if you ever want to use it, but sometimes also even using the type change to your advantage could be pretty cool. Next one is Grufflin. This one's pretty unique with Grufflin. With the awakening, the type stays the same. The trait moves to what I think it's called analytical, I think, if memory serves, but basically it looks at what the opponent's highest stat is, and then it kind of boost the reverse of it. So for example, if it's got high, I say analytical, as you can see, speed was boosted. So if they have speed, it gets faster in its speed. If it has attack, it might do, defense and so on. It's actually a pretty cool ability. Also having that with the ability to pivot on this doodle can make this an absolute force. It also looks pretty awesome in terms of design. As the analytical, as you can see, depending on their stat, I'll get a boost. So that said, really worthwhile, I would say, to try it if you haven't already. Moving on, we now have Thornet. This thing was kind of broken, that actually needed to get a nerf in terms of getting moves removed. We do see a type change, so for moving from insect and plant, it moves to plant and metal. It is basically, if it gets hit, it has a move. It has a trait called Retaliate. As you can see, it looks pretty awesome. So basically, if you hit it, you take a bit of damage, as you can see, in on physical type moves. So let me click onto here. So if I just hit Be Summon, and just to confirm with that. But this here was really a big powerhouse. It was, I think it was one of the first ones as well to drop out, because I think it was 5 or 6 when initially went on runes. So Retaliate, as you can see, does some damage back, and it moves to plant metal, as we've already covered. One of the newer awakenings is up next, which is Cacmeow. Cacmeow, as you can see, is plant and earth in this one. This one, I think, is kind of underrated in terms of how it looks. You don't really see it that often. It does need a bit of help in terms of balancing. I think it needs a couple of moves to make it worthwhile. But look at this thing. This looks really well put together, I have to say, in terms of what it has. But the trait is called Vicious, as you've just seen there, as you'll see when we move through. And with Vicious, it means it takes less time to heal whenever it hits him with a use heal move. So this doodle's attacks causes the heal move to be 50% less until they switch out, which is pretty clever and pretty cool. This next awakening is immense. Yes, guys, it is spectacular, and it is so fun. And its abilities, probably one of the most broken abilities that I actually had to get nerfed on drop, and they actually had to change it about, to be honest with you. So this here thing looks absolutely insane, but basically the way the trait works is when you hit somebody with a super effective move, it actually increases its speed. It also has access to sharpen, so if you wanted to get something that's good for PvP, this is your go-to. It's got the speed of swag. It even goes with the swag name, and it gives you real sweeping potential. As you can see, the type stays exactly the same as well, but like, look at this thing. It looks absolutely top notch and amazing. Really proud of that one with those guys who designed this one, and I think it looks worthwhile to have if you haven't already got one in your team. On the next one, we then have a Skidine. Skidine is pretty cool in terms of what it has, and if you can set it up, it does keep the typing the same, but it has a trait which makes it really powerful. Basically what the trait does, it gives you a magical attack boost, I do believe. Let me just double check, because it could actually be Sea Goddess Disciple. So as you can see, is rewarded, their magical attack was increased. I do say magical attack, I think that it could be the highest stat. I'll just double check here, because I'm pretty certain you can run it both ways, and it's something that a lot of people do get confused on, and physical Skidine can actually do things, guys. So if I bring up the trait here, as you'll see in a second, yeah, so this doodle sent out in the battle, they boost their highest stat, whether it's attack or magical attack, so you can run it either way. So down to 4 to go. Next one is Volt Enchant. As you can see, I've tinted it here. This one actually has a pretty... Actually, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that does this? Not really. This is the only awakening that actually influences the weather. I'm pretty sure. It basically makes it rain. It's called Rainmaker, which is pretty cool. This actually is really good for using like rain teams and things like that. To actually bring it in and have the awakening. Also, as a spark type, it's pretty useful, let's be honest with you, and having access to Storm Heal makes it really unique. And this thing looks really cool. It really does. Look at it. It literally looks really cool. But yeah, as I say, it's called Downpour. Whenever sent in a battle, so you can take it out, back in. Again, there's no type change on it as well. Which brings us then to Malric. So with Malric, this thing keeps its typing. It doesn't change at all, but it does have a new trait, and it looks pretty weird. What else can you say about Malric? You know, it is what it is. It's not the prettiest. The back sprite, and then here's the front sprite, as you'll see. It does get a speed boost, whereas normal Malric is absolutely slow as anything. But this thing just looks diabolical. What it also does with its trait, it means that it's called gaseous form. So this doodle sleep and steal never misses, and it takes 50% less damage from contact moves. So it is pretty unique in terms of itself. It influences a move, but also damage taken, which brings us then to Theater. Here, as you can see, it looks pretty cool. We do see a type change, if I do remember. This at the moment is Spirit and Dark, and let's just awaken. Now, the colors on this is how you kind of determine which is which. So as you can see, you've got the white string for Theater, and we will awaken. Where Mass Comedy is a different color string as well, and we'll go to see Mass Comedy next. If you look here, when we go to there, it's now dark and light type, so we do see that change with the typing and Spiteful. This doodle's attacks 30% more damage if the target has a stat boost with Spiteful, so pretty cool. Then that leads us to last but not least, which is Mass Comedy. So again, this is Spirit Light. It actually also changes to a new typing as well, as you're about to see. So as you can see, the black strings now on Mass Comedy compared to Theater's white strings. That's how you can kind of keep yourself right. Also, you can have hover over the icons on the right hand side if you're not too sure which is which. And as you can see here, it now gets the new trait, Cardinal Sin, so 30% more damage if the doodle hasn't been attacked this turn. So obviously it's slow, and again the typing moves to light and dark, which is the final awakening that we will cover in this video, which is pretty awesome.